welcome. Maybe, Esrin, to start with you. How are you, and how was your first contact with us, this group, yesterday in the hidden church?
Hello, yes, I'm Ecrin, and in the church I met beautiful people. It was really beautiful to see how people wanted to see the history of Amsterdam, because the museum is also a part of the history of Amsterdam. People were very, very interested, and I like to see that. So I'm anxious.
Cool. Great that you're here. Needless to say, you're only 17 years old still.
Yes.
But you're participating in some quite famous, I would say, think tanks or institutions, like the MBO, it's like the VET think tank, the Rijksmuseum think tank, Amnesty International Netherlands Youth Council. How did that spark come up for you to be so active already at this age?
Now, I think the Voice of Tolerance is playing a big role in here. I was, I think, 14 when I joined the Voices. And then my voice began to sound. My voice mattered. And I think from the Voices, I saw how important it was to participate in these things. And the door opens the door. So I came in these things and I really like it. I do it with love. So yeah.
The Voices of Tolerance is a project run by Our Lord in the Attic, where we were yesterday. Can you tell us a little bit more? What is the Voices of Tolerance all about?
The name says it all. The Voices of Tolerance. We talk about tolerance, about participation, about discrimination, about the problems in Amsterdam, but also in the world. We do different workshops. We talk with different iconic people.
You can name drop one.
Can I do that? We talk with the Mayor of Amsterdam, Femke Halsema. We also made a zine. That's a sort of magazine, but with a lot of information. And we put that under the ground at the dam, at the center of Amsterdam. And with that, we meet, two of us meet the Princess of the Netherlands, Amalia. So, yes.
Okay, so the Voices of Tolerance really, was a stepping stone to many other sort of ways for you to participate in society. Thanks so much for sharing. We'll dive deeper into it in a second. Hannah, if I can go to you. You already shared a bit, but maybe for the people who are new to what you do, again, so you run Factor D, Democracy Network, and you also run the Initiative for Open Societies. Can you share a little bit more what the essence of your work is all about?
The essence, I think, is to promote democracy as a lived practice and as a culture that really matters in our everyday lives. So I think some of you have also participated in these democracy muscle trainings, and I think this is kind of our starting point, like seeing democracy as more than just like going to the elections, if you have the fortune to have the right citizenship every 4 or 5 years, but as something that we need to learn and practice every day through the way we compromise, through the way we talk to each other, through the way we meet and negotiate. And that's something that we have been like promoting for several years through developing formats but then also, of course, I mean, that's like one part of democracy. And then there's also, of course, like the institutional sides, our basic rights and liberties that we have. And I think it's on the one hand, like this democracy education, but then on the other hand, also defending our democratic rights and institutions at a time where they're under pressure. That's two parts. And then the third, we also need to think about, like, we need visions, we need a future, and democracy as it is has a lot of like flaws. So it's also about updating democracy, improving it and making it more inclusive, more participatory. That's somehow the three pillars that we work on.
So to start off with that first one, training your democracy muscles, indeed there's a lot of emphasis always about we need to go out and vote or sign a petition. Whereas also recently in these days we've been talking about, the right skills that we can train in everyday practice, which is also about democracy. How do you go about training these democratic muscles?
I can share some examples from our work. I think throughout all of Europe, a lot of people have this impression, or which is true in parts, that we are extremely polarized, and our societies are more and more polarized. We kind of tend to navigate within our own bubbles of political opinion. But if we are meant to get along with each other as a society, as a whole, we need to come across this polarization. So we do a lot of starting from very simple activities like going out, putting a table on a public place, and coming into conversation over food and drinks, because that's the easiest way to connect people, to kind of more complex methods and trainings that are based on scientific insights on how do we depolarize each other, how do we really build meaningful connections with each other across our differences.
Is that actually also something for you, that you try to overcome polarization by, especially in Voices of Tolerance, engage in this discussion, which is not so much I learned about food and drinks, but about really big topics?
Yes, we see that that our world is going polarized, and if we bring people together with food or drinks or with anything else, we can fight that. I think you can't fight with the people who stand for polarization, but if you stand together and so that that polarization isn't a big thing, that you actually can live together, and that you love, that you respect each other, then you fight polarization.
I had a discussion yesterday with a few people who stated that yes, we live in multicultural societies, but they're still very segregated, right? And also talking about democracy and polarization is also because people meet each other less and less. Different people, you also mentioned the bubbles. Everybody talks always about the bubbles. We're stuck. How do we get out of those bubbles? And how do, maybe in Voices of Tolerance and in your initiative, how do you make sure that those bubbles burst and people actually meet?
Yeah, I think that happens on a young age. At the Voice of Tolerance, we have young people. So when you are young and you meet new people, you meet new opinions, you come out of that bubble. I was also in a bubble. We're all born in a bubble. But coming out of that bubble is something for yourself. Like, I was 14, as I said. Then I meet new opinions. My opinions start to change. My opinions start to form, I think. And I see that polarization is very bad for us. And we can fight that with standing together. And
that's interesting. Is there something that you changed your mind about over the past years?
Ooh. Yes, as I said, I was 14 when I joined the Voices. So my opinion was already forming that time.
Yeah.
It's also forming now. It never stops. But that time is the most active time when your opinion forms. And because I was at the Voices, my opinion formed that way, in a natural way. And I like that. I love that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
How does it work for you, Hannah, bringing those different people together? Because with a lot of participation projects, what I see is that people still tend to reach already democratic enthusiasts.
Well, and I don't want to say that being inside your bubble, I mean, being in your bubble is very comfortable, and I don't think that's bad at all, because we need those comfortable communities where we feel safe, where we feel, really reflected, because going outside your bubble really can cost a lot of energy, can make you feel more insecure. And I think it's quite a great thing that through the internet over the last decades, we've been much more able to connect with like our communities of interest. Like, for example, when you're, I don't know, a queer person from a rural area, in earlier times, it was really like more difficult to find your community. And now it has become much more easy. So bubbles per se are not the problem. The problem is if you're like only if you're completely disconnected from the rest. And then also we see that some bubbles kind of like just reaffirm their own opinion and tend to like get more extreme in certain also anti-democratic positions on the far right. So and then here the question is, how do we form a democratic society still? And so what can you do? I think actually yesterday we did experience a great example by singing together because we kind of formed connection in a group without really talking to each other. I also sing in a choir, and I feel super connected to the people in this choir. We are like a wide range of nationalities, of ages. And with most people, I don't even know what their political opinions are or what they work, because we just like connect through the music. And I think there's a lot of activities that are not essentially about talking politics that can be quite bubble bursting. And I think those institutions where we got together like this have been vanishing over the last decades, but they are still there. Libraries are one of them, but there's also a lot of other like associations, institutions where we do meet across differences.
But if we take indeed singing or other non-democratic, sort of explicit non-democratic activities as an example, I also hear sports indeed or other forms. If politics is not discussed, for example, in a choir, does it really burst your bubble then? Because you maybe still avoid the sensitive topics.
Well, I think it's like the first step to connect as human beings. And when you have this like connection, then you can talk politics in the next, when you like see each other as, we're both humans, regardless of our differences. And then you can also disagree on certain things in the next, as a next step. And that's something we also try to include in the more like, workshops and formats that we do, that we not like start talking like polarized issues or topics that kind of trigger people immediately, but we first try to like, build a little bit of relationship and connection. There's like one format that has been like quite widely circulated in Germany that is called Sprechen und Zuhören, like listening and speaking. And it's really about empathetic listening to each other and understanding what someone's perspective comes from, what like biographic background, etc. So it's like, yes, of course, on the one hand, cultural activities, sports, etc., but then also developing our ability to listen and to be empathetic.
Which is one of those democratic muscles, I think, that you train. One of the places where a lot of different people meet each other is, of course, a library, where I think people from all walks of life find each other. I'd love to hear, maybe are there people in the room who feel like they have successfully brought really different people together from maybe the far right or right to the left and engaged in meaningful discussion? Do people have had interesting experience they would like to share with the group? Who dares? Yes, thank you. Do you want to sit with us for a moment? Give her a round of applause, please. Sorry, I kind of tricked you in.
Yes.
It wasn't my intention. But would you be so kind introducing yourself?
Yes, my name is Jutta. I'm coming from Latvia. I represent NGO, Kurzemes NGO Center. And actually, we're working basically on two ways. One is like supporting other NGOs with different activities, networking, consultations, trainings. And other like direction, we work with this democratic values and try to train people to be more democratic. And we do it in all age groups. We start from kindergartens until seniors. And
how do you bring those different bubbles together?
Yeah.
That's, I think, the main
one thing we organize every year, already 5 years we didn't, we do organize democracy festival in our town. Of course, it's a challenge to bring different members of community together, but still, we are trying. And Democracy Festival is a 2-day event where all kind of activities taking place, starting, and they are kind of very easy. It can be games, like really games, where you have maybe closed eyes and you have to feel yourself how it would be if you would be a person with the blindness, and trying to put sometimes people in the shoes of different nationalities, ethnic backgrounds, or things like that. But the thing I wanted to share, my colleague is responsible for this, but I still want to share. We organized Democracy Cafe, and the idea is that we still have tables and some drinks, and people come together and they are splitted to the tables completely random way. So we try to bring different members of society, different social groups, completely like randomly at the table. And we had a moderator who is well known in the country, maybe some artist, journalist.
Kind of a role model.
Yeah, kind of a role model, or some way known person, locally, nationally, it depends. We had a president at one year. We had a president at our cafe. And the moderator brings some topic. Either it depends on him or her. Either it's cultural thing or a field she or he works. It depends. It really depends on the moderator. And the thing is, the idea is that we try to listen to each other during these sessions. Like we have 1.5 hour discussion on the topic. Everyone has to share their opinion. We try to listen. We learn to listen to different opinions. That's one thing. And also on the second part of discussion, we change the tables. Again, completely randomly, you get to sit to maybe to your enemy, maybe your worst neighbor. Anyway, you have to still kind of train empathy and flexibility to talk and listen to different people.
Is everybody open to that? Because I also feel empathy is a character trait that only certain people of the political spectrum really like. You know, Elon Musk famously said, "Empathy is for losers" or something.
Okay.
So. Is everybody open to empathy and active listening?
No, of course not. It's a training. I think it's a training. And of course, because we already working with this kind of method for 5 years and do it regularly. The cafe we do at least twice a year during a Democracy Festival and also in other times. So the people training, they actually know where we're going. So they are ready for this challenge.
I'd like to put this to the group and to you. You know, we sometimes, with my organization, we also host election shows, even a club night, which also a lot about politics and democracy. And we sometimes get the critique, oh, you're just making it fun and you're laughing and is everybody happy? Whereas there's so much going on in the world. And we're making democracy festivals and club nights and cafes. What do you think of all of this that we, I think, mostly in the West, need all these fun activities to get people engaged again? Ecrin, what do you think of all of this?
I think it's great because democracy is a word that has it has a meaning. It's loaded. It has a real loaded meaning. And if you make it fun, if you do a club, do a theater show, you make it less meaningful. But it's still meaningful. But you bring it to people. You bring it close to people, especially young people. You bring it close to them, and you love the democracy and the young people when they. Yeah. And they love each other.
So what do all your, maybe the people around you, because you're an exception to the rule, let's be honest. You're one of the young people who are super active, who participate a lot. So you're not the average student, let's put it that way. What do you hear from other young people around you that say, I'm just not interested, or I don't care, or they don't listen to me?
Yeah, I see that a lot of happening in my classroom, with my friends, with everyone, actually. They say, yeah, the politics, it's far. It's not about me. The elections were last March in Amsterdam. And when I spoke to young people, they said, yeah, the elections, but yeah, what does it mean to me? It's not going to happen. They are not going to put something, they are not going to do something for me. So it's very, very far away from young people. The democracy, the politics, important topics.
And so what helped for you, I think, is being in touch with an organization like Voices of Tolerance, or initiative like Voices of Tolerance. Is that something that everybody could do?
Yes, sure. If you're young and if you're, yeah, I think in this room maybe a few people, but.
Up to what age is someone young?
Yeah, that's also opinion.
You're too nice now. I'm 32. Am I too old? Ooh, painful. Okay, no need to answer. Thank you. No, but so I also would like to hear from you and maybe also other people, especially about young people, because we know young people are very difficult to reach. They go out and vote less. Do you have strategies specifically targeting young people? I can imagine democracy festivals is one solution. Are there other working strategies to attract young people?
Well, I'm sure there's other experts in the room that have more to share, but I like this thing about making democracy like fun, to engage young people. I agree, but I don't agree 100% because I mean, of course, yes, we've like democracy and also like the traditional parties have lost a lot of trust. So we need to find ways to like re-engage people and especially like young people and show them that it's about them. But it's like it's very serious, and also the threat that a lot of people are under when fighting for democracy is super serious. I mean, there's people here from Ukraine. I've talked to people from Turkey. It's a very serious issue. And I think when most young people were mobilized for democratic issues, that was when it was really about something. It wasn't just about fun, but like mass protests for like basic civic rights. So I think, we need both strategies, and but at times where democracy is really under pressure, or where like young people really are feeling like our future is being like ignored, then they're taking to the streets and are like democratizing themselves, and they don't really need a lot of adults telling them how to do it, but they need to be called in and taken seriously. And then, of course, we also need the democracy festivals and all these activities that get people onto the table and show them that democratic participation isn't like super complex and only something for like, the people who've studied political science, etc.
We talked a little bit about those democracy muscles. So what people can do to train themselves to participate in democracy, a bit about the different formats maybe we can use. I'd like to turn a little bit more towards also the role of libraries. And I know there's lots of experts on libraries here in the room. As democratic spaces, yes, maybe you have a question for someone in the room about this topic.
I just wanted to quickly share about the young people, and then maybe I can pass the chair and microphone to someone from library. I'm happening to be a kind of coach or mentor for our town's youth council, which is kind of organization who represents interest of young people. And what we do, seeing that young people, especially the ones who just turned 18, because voting rights is from 18 in Latvia, they won't go probably vote, not local municipality, not at national level. We try to bring together those two sides, the deputies or potential deputies and young people. Again, kind of funny way. We had pizza baking together when we afterwards baked the politicians and asked what because we had a collection last year for municipality level, and actually we asked them in your program where is young people. So basically they tried to talk a lot about all kind of stuff, but we actually couldn't find the young person in their program and things about young people. That's one thing. Next week on Monday we're going for a hike with also the municipality people, deputies who also think about young people. So again, it is fun, but that way we kind of attract young people because they want a fun part. But during these activities, we have a serious questions about the topics young people and politicians should think like.
Right, so we cannot just expect young people to show up in the city hall and discuss all these topics. You have to do a little bit more to mobilize and engage them.
And we also go to schools and we do simulation of elections. And so young people have their experience how to be kind of choose political party, how to talk about their program, who will be their target group, who will be the ones who elect them, and actually see the process. And we also play then, because in Latvia we have 30% people go to elections. So we actually...
Only
30%. And it's on national and local level. It's the same numbers.
Wow.
And we actually simulate the situation. Each of the young person gets roll card, or you stay at home because it was nice weather and you did picnic, or you didn't know who to vote for and you didn't do anything, things like that. And so we play out how it is that 30% only vote and what happened when we all, the 70% has to deal with the party who's voted from those 30%.
Amazing.
So it's very interesting to have those discussions, so to kind of make in the shoes that they are there and they have to live for next 4 years the situation with the program. But actually it was like things like that.
Thank you so much for sharing your strategies, Jutta. Yes, thank you so much.
Maybe,
you can leave the mic here. Maybe I'll pose a question to all of you for you to chew on with your neighbor. Discuss really quickly what is the role in really fostering that those democratic muscles, as we said, in your libraries. Are you already doing that, or are you wanting to do more with trying to get people to engage with democracy? Take a minute or two to discuss this with your neighbor, and then we'll try to harvest some of your ideas. May I ask you, does either of you work in a library, for a library? Yes. Any democratic strategies? How do you work actively to sort of promote democracy in your library?
My case is kind of different. I was telling her because we already are inside a cultural center and our communities are very linked to activism. So they are already doing the work day by day. And so some of the things we do in the library is create softer spaces where you can also relax because people are burned out. They are already doing this work. So it's a way to having a moment together and also thinking, but it doesn't have to be about like these hard discussions because we're all doing it all the time.
But maybe that means that you're reaching certain people, who are super active already. Are there, if you listen to what was said before, how do you try to get other people in, maybe who are maybe a bit new to activism or participation?
I guess that's also the way, right? Because a lot of people are intimidated if they're not activists, or I don't want to screw up. So they don't have to come and show up how much they know. It's also a way to interact with people that are involved, but we communicate through stories mainly, and food.
Food.
Yeah, food is a very important thing.
To get people in.
Yeah, and I think that's a way to start from a softer place, maybe. And then we go to the other hard conversations if we want to.
Is that something other people use as well? Food as kind of a conversation starter, or to lure people in? I see some nodding faces. And coffee. That's amazing. Okay. More librarians working here? NGO. I'm going on. Sorry, I'm going to this side first. Hello. Where are you working, and what is your democratic strategy?
Okay, I work in a ludoteca, a library of toys in Évora, Portugal.
Library of toys.
Yeah, and we work the democracy because that space is for free, inclusive, and for everyone. We have people of everyone, everywhere, and they share the games, the toys. They know each other, so the democracy there starts in the relationships.
So you're saying this is maybe not about voting or institutions, but it's about those democratic norms and processes of sharing, maybe negotiating over toys, discussions.
Yeah. We have problems about kids that cry a lot because don't want to share the toy. But then we work that, and it's okay. So, and another things, I have an example. We have the Pakistanis children that don't enter in the ludoteca because the family thought that space is not for her. So we work that. And then she have autism. Okay, she's non-verbal, don't speak, and she makes sounds very loud sometimes. So a father who's there wasn't not forever, for another place, and he was bored by that. So we say the world is for everyone in the ludoteca too. And so we have to conviver, we have to live together with our difference, but with empathy. For example, we use the book to share messages, yeah. We have the book for that. For example, to work an emotional state of angry, and we do an activity to example that.
Thank you so much. So, from a very early age on, you say a library can already build sort of democratic norms or values amongst children. I think that's a beautiful remark. Any other one who would like to share something about a democracy or a strategy?
Hi. We were talking, actually I was mostly talking at you, about the UK, because in, Britain, I turned 18 and I voted the day after for Brexit. And obviously that was a bit depressing. And there's such a feeling in the UK, especially in young people, of like, what's the point in doing any of this? There's so, people don't get involved, it's presumably the same. But I saw a really, really interesting interview of two teenagers at one of those Unite the Nation right-wing rallies. And the person was like, why are you here? And they were like, well, it was something to do. There's nowhere else for them to go. And so they're actually getting involved in democracy, but in a way that I personally wouldn't like. And I thought it was so interesting as a indictment of why there should be more third spaces for people to actually go to. And that's such a big part of democracy, in a way, is allowing people the opportunity to actually get involved, but also having spaces for them to go.
And what I infer from this is there are not enough spaces, such as libraries, other spaces?
Yes.
And now I know you organized an UK-nominated People and Environment Prize project. which is all about walking, about a pilgrimage, as you call it, discovering more about nature. Does that have anything to do with democracy as well, in your eyes?
Yeah, we just had elections, and interestingly, the 13 spaces that you go to on our pilgrimage, 10 of them, I think, were places where people could vote. And we tried to choose places that were, 4 of them are libraries, and loads of the places are community centres. But so much of the idea of actually making the walk was to try and get people talking to each other and in movement, kind of like what you were saying about the festivals and sort of the discussions, and making it fun, but simultaneously making it a chance to get more connection with people that you wouldn't usually do, and a chance to explore and get sort of like a local sense. For us, a lot of the work that I work in a development trust, and a lot of the work is very place-based, because that's the great uniter of everyone that's there. They all live in the area. They all care that it's going to be nice.
Yeah, so indeed the local placemaking is very important to you. Sort of, instead of talking about big problems about Europe or about the world, you just make it very small and say, these are community centers, these are places where you can vote, here you can learn more about nature. Okay, thank you so much for sharing. Hannah, I know your organization has been working, or maybe is still working, on a report, a sort of a democracy guide, I understood, for libraries. Can you already give us a teaser of what is in the report?
Yeah, I mean, we've heard this right now from you. I think a lot of, and I've also said that yesterday, a lot of the work that libraries are doing naturally every day is very democratic, especially all these like activities that you do for creating encounter, for making people meet each other. That's pure democracy. But then, of course, there's also a lot of other like strategies that libraries can apply. I think one thing that is a bit overlooked is this like being sites of information and information literacy in a world that becomes increasingly like fragmented and disorienting in terms of where do we actually find trustful information. And that's a great potential for libraries to, even step up as democratic actors. And so with our democracy guide, we basically want to like raise awareness and consciousness in libraries that they are already doing democratic work, but also give them impulses on how to do this even more like consciously, and how to kind of step up their game even more, and also how this doesn't always have to require a huge effort, but how, what can be easy ways to start. And I think one...
Can you give an example of that? How to step up your game as a library, or maybe as an NGO?
Well, I think the first thing would be like matching like NGOs and libraries working more actively together. I think a lot of places do that already. But we as an NGO started working with libraries, 7 years ago or so, kind of for selfish reasons, because we wanted more people and more diverse people to participate in our programs. And so we turned to libraries because we knew they're like trusted institutions that a lot of different people go to. And I think this, a lot of libraries are in like amazing communities, and they could like open their doors even wider and offer their like place that is a great resource to communities that don't have places. That would be a first step, for example.
Yeah, Ecrin, Hannah talked about the importance of indeed, trustworthy information. Information that is not fake news, that is spreading all around on socials. I assume, other than most of the people in the crowd, you're digitally native. You're born with a phone in your hand, practically. That's where young people get their information from, right? And we know from research, most young people get their news from socials nowadays, instead of watching the TV at 8 o'clock or listening to the radio. So what is that like for you? Where do you, for example, get your information from? And is the library also a place, as Hannah says, where you get maybe extra information from?
Yes, I also use social media, so I see news every day. It's news, it's based on your algorithm, but you see the news. You see what happens in the world. You see on your phone what happens in the world. No one's reads a
a newspaper anymore.
A newspaper.
Yeah.
Maybe in this room, but at my age, nobody reads it. And the libraries, I think it's a transparent place where you can fulfill your information, because I live in the Netherlands. I'm Dutch, and I want to learn about the Dutch history, for example. Then I can come to the library and pick a book and read about Dutch history. That's a sort of transparency. The Dutch history is not so bright, but it's a transparency where you show people, where you show young people, but people all over the world, what happened and what's happening.
So there is an opportunity there for libraries. Hannah, you also explicitly talk about the role of disinformation, of fake news on social media, and people getting maybe their news from social media. What roles can libraries take to counter those disinformation campaigns or cycles?
I mean, again, I guess maybe some of you have also experienced in this. I think there's a lot of examples that I can think of. For example, from the programming of one public library in Berlin that do a lot of events, both in collaboration with NGOs and also themselves on, like, detecting this misinformation, on how kind of like hackathons, etc., and really raising information literacy. And also, I think here we also have this whole debate comes up of what is the role of libraries in kind of protecting truth or protecting democratic values, because as we also touched on yesterday, they also because of course libraries provide a whole lot of information, and they can take conscious decisions on how to expose certain topics, like how to focus on democracy and on information literacy by putting it into their program, putting it into the books and the media that they expose, also including, I think a lot of libraries are doing that brilliantly, including many more media. And yeah, I was also in a Berlin library recently where there was like long waiting lists for courses where like parents and kids learned together on like, how to become competent navigators of the smartphone. And that's like so cool.
I know within this Europe Challenge, we have, of course, the digital pillar. So projects running also digital literacy or media literacy programs. Are there people who are actually focusing on this, on disinformation in the room? Yes. Do you want to join us on stage for the last 5 minutes? Please give her a warm round of applause. Would you also be so kind introducing yourself and your project?
Hello, I'm Carolyn and I'm from Musselburgh and Wallingford Libraries in Scotland, and our project is Tech Talk. So we brought together children and young people with their parent and carer.
Amazing.
Oh, sorry, I'm not used to a microphone. To discuss digital well-being and online safety together. And I think this conversation has made me realize how much of that was flexing their democratic muscles, especially I think seeing it in the parents and the different decisions people make about parenting digitally, and understanding different perspectives, different reasons why you might make different choices as well.
What are some of the reactions that you're getting from parents and youngsters? Because I can imagine a lot of people maybe are not aware, but still people go to these workshops to learn something.
Yeah, I think initially some of the young people were dragged along a little bit by their parents, and the parents really wanted us to be authority figures and tell them, your parents are right, you should only be on your phone 1 hour a day. That was not our intention, and I don't know, I don't have the answers to these questions. And I think as the program went on, a lot of the parents learned how informed their young people actually are. And as much as we did try to engage them with fun activities, we used Play-Doh, we had pizza, some of the things that really hooked young people in are when we brought up AI. They were completely engaged. They had so much knowledge. We had a child as young as 6 who was talking about the impact of AI on your brain development. They know what's going on. And it's amazing. And I think, especially in Scotland, the voting age in Scottish elections is 16. So, some of them were coming up to being in a literal sense, actively engaged in democracy. And I think it just really opened up a lot of understanding and empathy between young people and their parents about their different perspectives and different experiences.
We know from Dutch research that a lot of young people and adults as well actually used chatbots or large language models to help them with their voting choices. Is that also something that you try to address in your workshops?
You know, we haven't done that yet, but maybe that's an interesting topic that we need to look at moving forward. I think if we can extend the project, I think we'd like to target different audiences because our participants were pretty self-selected. So they were already people who had concerns.
Yes.
And it was interesting. The young people were very against using things like chatbots. The parents realized, oh, actually, I guess I do that at work, don't I?
That's interesting. So it also goes the other way around than you would.
Yeah, a lot of learning from each other. And we also had teenage volunteers who have a bit more independence online, bring their experiences into.
And what is maybe a best practice you'd like to share? What worked really well for your project?
I think just taking young people seriously. I think, and also taking adults maybe a little less seriously. Adults like to play. Young people like to have serious conversations, and you can do both at once. You can have serious conversations through play, and that works for all audiences, really.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to all of you. I think what I learned in this last hour is that it doesn't just require different formats, maybe to bring people in. Sometimes you also need food to get people engaged and get a conversation going. But also that libraries are really critical infrastructure for democracy from a very early age onwards, as you say, with your tech talk workshops, but also exchanging toys can already be democratic practice. We're going to continue flexing our democratic muscles, hopefully with all of you in the upcoming hours and weeks.